We are moving on to Learning Goal 2, which is a bit more difficult than Learning Goal 1. We're actually going to take Learning Goal 2, and it'll probably take us over a week to get through the whole thing, because there's actually going to be 2 videos that go with this. So we will take it slow, and we'll give you lots of practice time, because this is really hard. We get that, so hopefully after this and all the tricks we teach you, you will it will make sense. So this is part 1 of Learning Goal 2, where we can add and subtract fractions with uncommon denominators. And you should have in front of you a little note-taking sheet. So as we go along, you should be filling it in and solving problems on that. We did that because there's quite a few steps to solve this, so we wanted you to have something that was a little easier to follow along with. So here we go.
Diving in.
Yeah. All right. I can add and subtract fractions with uncommon denominators. So we have to know what an uncommon denominator is first. We already know the denominator is the bottom number in a fraction. So when you have uncommon denominators, that just means that you have 2 fractions where the denominator is different. So in the past, we added, in Learning Goal 1, we added and subtracted where they were the same. Now we're going to look at what to do when those are different. And unfortunately, it's not as easy.
No, it isn't.
No. Okay, so let's look at this one. If we have 1/4 plus 1/2, I think it's 2/6. That seems too easy, though.
Yeah. If only it was that easy. But I remember in the last video we said that we can't just add up our denominators like that. That's not going to work.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? Should we? We're not. I'm not right. I'm not right. All
sorry.
Right, so Miss Van Dam, maybe you can show why.
Okay. So if we're looking here, we have our 1/4. Visually, we can see that here. And we have this 1/2. And if you look here, if you were thinking 2/6, which would be nice and easy, just add them. But if you look here, this is not equal to this plus this here.
Right. Yep, click it again. It'll move.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So now we can see that if we actually added 1/2 plus 1/4, it should be a lot bigger. And so 2/6, sorry, that is just not going to work. I know everyone was hoping for that, but
it would have been nice.
It would have. But instead, we will just walk you through how to do it the right way. So yeah.
No,
sorry,
wrong.
once again.
That is not right.
No. We really want you to
make
know.
it clear. Not right.
Yeah, don't do this at home. All right, so let's think about really what did we do wrong here. Looking
Let's
here.
bring up the visual again.
Yes. Yep. Okay, good. So we're looking visually again here. 1/4 plus 1/2. If the denominator is not the same, what you have to do first is actually find a common denominator, and this should be part of your note-taking steps. We probably helped you out with some fill-in-the-blanks, but you're going to want to jot that down. You have to get this common denominator, because
once you do that,
then it's nice and easy. Yeah, it's just like what you did before. But the big idea is getting to that point. So, looking here at these denominators, are they the same number? Nope. If they aren't, you have to get that common denominator. So we're going to figure out, well, how do we actually do that? So we have 1/4, 1/2 again, and we have to think to ourselves, okay, well, how do we find this common denominator? Do you think you can turn a denominator into the other denominator by multiplying or dividing?
So look at the 2 denominators. We have a 4 and a 2. Can you turn one of them into the other by multiplying or dividing? That's what we're thinking. In this case, what do you think? I know I can turn a 2 into 4.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not too scary. You saw that and thought, oh yeah, I can just multiply my 2 by 2 and then I should get 4. So now we're going to look at this 1/2.
Oh, hold on a second. Look at this. Wait, if you multiply the denominator, I'm going to get a totally different fraction.
Let's see here.
So that becomes 1/4. I don't know if that's right. Let's look at the picture.
So we have 1/4.
Does that equal 1/2?
No, it doesn't.
So there's a trick, and maybe you learned it in 4th grade, I don't know, but What do we need to do instead? Those two aren't equal.
No, this unfortunately won't work.
Yeah.
So what do? You have to do the same thing to the numerator as we do to the denominator.
Yeah.
So whatever we do here, we need to also do up here. So let's try this again.
Yeah.
Now we
Back to where we were.
Yes. So now we have 1/2. We multiplied the bottom by 2, so we had this common denominator. And now we're going to also multiply the numerator by 2 as well. So instead of 1/4 like we had before, now we have 2/4.
Because we don't want to have a different number. We don't want to change the addition sentence so it ends up equaling something different.
Mm-mm.
They have to be an equivalent fraction. The 1/2 and the 2/4 need to be meaning the same thing. Like we talked about 6/6 equals 1 whole before.
Yeah.
So I think you just got to make sure that the number you're changing it into is also equivalent to it.
Right.
And we'll talk more about equivalent fractions in a second.
Yeah.
But
You know, in the past, it sounds crazy, but I've had some students that would just know that they have to find a common denominator, but like you said, they would just put down anything. So maybe 3/4 or 1/4 just to get a common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
So I like what you were saying about these have to be equivalent to each other. You can't just put anything down to get a common denominator. No. All right.
So are you sure? We should double check because last time we did this we weren't right. So we better make sure 1/2 is actually equivalent to 2/4. So let's look at the visual. So we've got our 1/2, we've got our 2/4. So are they equivalent? They are. They work. So if I took this and swooped it down, they would land on top of each other. So let's take a second and talk a little bit about equivalent fractions. And I know it's going to come up in what, 6?
Learning Goal 6.
Yes. We will actually find equivalent fractions beyond this, but so hopefully that'll be easy by then.
Yeah, you'll be a pro.
Yeah. So for equivalent fractions are just fractions that are equal. The difference is they have different numerators and denominators. So here are some examples. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. So if you think of like if you have half a dollar and 2/4 of a dollar, which would be like 2/4, it mean the same thing.
And we just showed that visually too, so
you should believe some more examples. 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. 5/9 is equivalent to 10/18. So these are just other examples of equivalent fractions, and you can see you can get them from multiplying one by the other. So like 9 times 2 is 18, 5 times 2 is 10. So that's how you get the equivalent fractions. All right, so let's try another one. We've got 3/9 and 2/3. So if we go back through our steps, we need to look and see, can I turn one of the denominators into the other? And in this case, if I'm looking at my two denominators, 3 and 9, I can turn a 3 into 9 by multiplying it by 3. So since I know whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do the top, I multiply both by 3.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do that, I just rewrite this down here. So 3/9 plus 6/9, and then I just add them. That was simple.
That's learning goal 1 again.
Mm-hmm. Once we get to that common denominator.
Ooh, and 9/9, that was a whole, 1 whole.
Yep. So if you want to see, we're always tying it together, aren't we?
Wow.
If we want to look at it visually just to make sure, this is that same problem we just had. So 3/9 plus 2/3. So I'm showing you this again. We change that into 6/9. We just change 2/3 into 6/9 by multiplying both by 3 and added them up. So if I move this down, voila, we just proved it. It equals 9/9, which, as Mrs. Van Dam pointed out, is also equal to a whole. All right, I think you're doing this one.
Okay, and we're walking them through one more? Or no, this is one that you're going to want to pause, I believe. No?
I don't remember.
Okay,
I think we're walking them through another one.
Yes, this is tricky. So just listen carefully. So we're going to see here. We have 2/4 plus 2/8, and we want to think about our first step and how we have our 2/4 and our 2/8 here, and do we have a common denominator? You're looking here and you should say, no, these are not common. So now how can I make them common? What can I do? So you want to find this common denominator by looking to see, can I multiply one of these to get the other one? So if we do that, right now I'm thinking, okay, my 4 can easily turn into an 8 by multiplying by 2. I just have to remember that what I do on the bottom, have to do on the top. So here's 4 times 2, and that is going to equal 8, just like this one. But then I also want to multiply the top by 2, so I should get 4 8s here. And there it is. Voila. 4 8s.
Step 3, rewrite it.
Plus 2 8s. And yeah, please rewrite it. That's another thing. I always have students that are trying to like fit it in because they don't feel like rewriting it, but then it's just like this jumbled mess and they get confused.
It'll take you 2 seconds. Rewrite it. It'll make your answer correct.
Do it. Yes. Trust us. It'll just be easier. And now, once again, this is just like learning goal 1. Nice and easy. We're just going to look across here. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Oh, and we have our nice visual showing that too. Oops. So, and now you're going to solve the problem. So we have our 4 8s plus 2 8s should equal 6 8s. And once again, you can see that visually here.
Now you get to pause it. See, we did it right.
Okay.
Good. All right, so pause it, and then we'll go over this one. And again, look back through the steps and see if you need to. You should have them all in there, so look back and just go step by step what you need to do. So if we look at this, our first step is we've got 2 6 plus 4 12. So our visual people, this is what we're looking at. So we have to look at the denominators. Are they the same? No. So since they're not the same, we have to get a common denominator. So to do that, I need to figure out, can I multiply 1 to get to the other? And I can multiply the 6 to get to a 12. So I am multiplying 6 times 2, and since I multiply the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator too. So I multiply both of those by 2. And then step 3, rewrite that problem. So this becomes 4 twelfths plus 4 twelfths. And the last step, easy peasy, add them up. Solve the problem. 4 twelfths plus 4 twelfths is 8. 8 twelfths, I should say, not 8. Okay, now it's your turn. We only gave you 2. We know they're tricky. Please try them. Give them a try. Look back at the steps. Ask yourself the questions that we posed in those steps. If you don't remember, look back, rewatch the video. That is what it's there for. And then when you come back, we will go over them as a group. So, good luck.